Hi, man.
Are you ready, kids?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Bob Esponja.
A tormented
I am
yellow
from
and bores
Mexico.
the sea.
Bob Esponja.
If nautical nonsense, what do you wish?
Bob Esponja.
Let's drop on the deck and flop like a fish.
Bob Esponja.
Ready? Bob Esponja,
Bob,
Bob
Bob,
Esponja, Bob
Bob.
Esponja.
Where
Vicky
are you
Vicky.
from, man?
United States and you?
Mexico.
Mexico, nice. I I
I,
kn-
I think.
I know Spanish because my mom is from Venezuela.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. I want to visit
Yeah.
Mexico someday. I still haven't been.
Oh, maybe it's not the time right now, right?
Well, I'm talking about after the pandemic.
You think this will ever end?
Hopefully.
I hope so.
How is it
Everybody's
there?
saying this is the new normality, and so I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
The thing is there's the vaccines, but I wouldn't be surprised if the vaccines are gonna be like the flu, where you have to take it every year.
Yeah.
There's
Ah,
some
man.
there's some people
Have you
that are
ever
saying
seen
that.
Have you ever seen the movie I Legend by
I
Will
am
Smith?
Legend. Yeah.
I'm scared that that happened with the vaccine. Something go
Oh,
wrong
yep.
and everybody turns into zombies.
Yep. Yep. Well,
Because
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I don't think it would be like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a thing where it'll cause a lot of people to die. You never know, or health problems in 5, 10 years, or who knows of like when they have kids, right? Like what's
yeah,
gonna happen to
mutation,
the kids? You know?
DNA mutations.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
So
fucked up, man. I don't have any kids. You have kids?
not yet. In the
You
someday I will.
have already take the vaccine?
No.
I Over there, there's a lot of people getting the vaccine because over here there is
Yeah.
not.
Here, there's a lot. So, 10% of the population took the vaccine so far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Here
a
I
lot.
think here I think there is not even the 1% of the population
Oh, wow. Yeah,
because
that's
there is
crazy.
no. I really don't know why everybody says the government is not paying enough. They don't care about us. But I don't really know. Everybody's skeptical about the vaccine, and I think only doctors and nurses are getting the vaccine right now. So
Yeah, that's crazy. And how is rules there? Are like bars, clubs, and everything closed?
in the news, everybody is it's supposed to be close everything.
Yeah.
But you can go in the streets and really see bars open,
Oh, okay.
restaurants open. So it's like in the news we say we are going to do it, but really they are not doing it. So the hospitals are full, people are dying. They have to use oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here there are some trucks that transport the oxygen, and like all in the old west, they are some bad guys
Oh,
kidnapping the chauffeurs so they can steal the oxygen. It's like fucking crazy, man.
yeah, that is crazy. What part of
Like the
Mexico
old
are you?
west.
Yeah. What part of Mexico are you from?
Guadalajara.
Okay. Is that like
Have you
where is that? Like, is that north, south, west, east?
in the middle?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's close to Mexico City, which is the biggest one.
Yeah, yeah. Is your town like a small town, rural, or is it a suburb or city?
It's the second big
Biggest
city
city.
in
Okay.
Mexico.
Okay,
Yes, there's a
interesting.
lot of people. So, in fact, all the people outside of Guadalajara is
Hmm.
coming to Guadalajara for the hospitals,
Yeah.
and they are already packed. So it's fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's horrible.
In my workplace, there are two deaths already.
Yeah. Even like
So
Here, it's there's so many coronavirus cases. It's because there's so many people here, and then a lot of people are reckless, and also in probably about 20 states or something like that, bars and clubs are open. So like Florida, Texas, Wyoming, all those states, they have all those open, and so like a lot of people go there with no masks, and then they get the coronavirus and spread it around. But even so, my state, I live in Massachusetts. I'm where Boston is, so it's next to New York. Massachusetts and New York are very strict with the coronavirus, and like strict with shutting down bars. There's no the bars and clubs for Massachusetts and New York have been closed since the pandemic started.
Hmm.
Uh, and still there's a lot of cases here. Um,
Yeah,
so it's still crazy, like how
yeah.
they.
I just talked 2 hours ago with an Indian guy
Hmm.
from India,
Hmm.
and he just told me over there is so chill about the coronavirus. He told me there is no hospital fools, there is no much of a crisis over there. They pretty much say everything is going to normal, like 17%. And I was like, God damn it. And I was like, Lego, over here, Lego, it's fucking crazy. And he was like, oh, just take some black pepper. And I was like, what? He was like, yes, black pepper. The thing you put in your food. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that shit will upgrade your immune system and you won't get the coronavirus. And I
That's
was like,
crazy.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah. Everybody here knows it, and everybody is fine. There is no many cases and no many deaths. And I'm like, fuck.
Wow.
Where this information is out?
I know. Yeah.
But again, I can't trust in a guy which is 25 and not a doctor and not a scientist. So it's like rumors, I guess.
Yeah. And throughout the pandemic, there's been many rumors, and there's still rumors. You know what I mean? And then on top of it, India, the cases are actually pretty high. Um, but India is very big. There's a lot of people. So, like, maybe he's at a part of India where it's not as bad, or maybe the media is making it seem like it's not as bad. There's many different ways of looking at it. Like, here in the
It's
United States, there's a lot of people from, like, certain states like Texas or Florida or Tennessee or whatever, where in the news they watch, they think that the cases aren't that bad, that it's an exaggeration, that not many people are at the hospitals for it, when in reality there are a lot of people at the hospitals. So it all depends on like what information people are getting and the way they look at it, if they're watching the media, if the media is true or not. So
Yeah, I used to think the same. Like, oh, is the media trying to make us panic?
yeah.
For us to be in our house. So they are like our parents like don't do that because you're gonna die. And I'm like, eh.
Yep.
But the last month,
Hmm.
3 people die in my workplace,
Oh.
and like 10 get really sick, and just 2 go without symptoms.
Hmm.
So then it became real to me. Like, fuck, this shit is real. Like,
Yeah.
there are workplaces with me, and so now I'm taking care of myself, like
Yeah.
really doing it.
Yeah. It's like a it's like a intense version of the flu. You know what I mean? Like a more
Yeah.
dangerous version. So, like, yeah, I'm just really hoping that the vaccine, one, it's for the most part safe, and two, hopefully it's a thing where we only have to take it this year and then we don't have to take it anymore. Because if it's a thing where
But
we have to take it every year, then that'll be ridiculous. Like the flu,
but
you
have
have to
you heard?
guess the strain and stuff each year.
Yeah, but have you heard that there's a new evolution of the virus in the UK
Mm-hmm.
or something?
Yep. And there's a
That
different
that
one.
shit is scary.
There's also a different one in South Africa.
Yeah, I heard.
Hmm. So that
That's
makes me
scary because
wonder. then it may be like the flu where it changes every year, but it's more deadly and more spreading.
Yeah, have you watched the movie 12 Monkeys? Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt?
No, I heard it's a good
No?
movie.
You have to see it, and because in the start of the movie, they talk about there was a virus,
Hmm.
and it's all over the world. So humans have to live underground, and to be able to go out upstairs, like in the real world, they have to use mask and everything, because if they get the virus, they die instantly. So and that is in the year 2037, I think.
Hmm.
So I
Wow.
was like, I been watching it yesterday, so I was like, fuck, maybe this is the beginning, and
Yep.
maybe this is it.
Hmm.
You
And
never
that
know.
and that makes me wonder of I was thinking about this in theory, maybe to do this in the future is in the United States, if you like move to a random part of the United States, so like Wyoming or certain other places, one, there's less people around, and two, it's cheaper to live there. So I'm thinking maybe far in the future or whatever to maybe like buy a house or land or whatever around that area just in case in the future maybe me and my friends could live there and only stay there and have no one else come in there when there ends up being another pandemic. You know what I mean? Because, or if the coronavirus gets stronger and stronger over the years. Because if you live in a populated place like your city or like New York City or Boston or whatever, you're going to instantly die at that
Yeah,
point
yeah,
if it gets to that point, which I wouldn't be surprised if it will.
yeah,
So,
yeah. This shit is getting out of control. It's like here. I don't know if you over there in the USA know this, but here 1 year ago, our president says, "Oh, it's okay. The virus won't get into Mexico because we have," and he showed a picture of saints from Catholic religion,
mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Oh, this will protect us.
Yeah.
Just carry with you this picture of a saint, and you won't get the virus."
Mm-hmm.
And last week he got the virus,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "What?"
Well,
So
that's the same way it was in certain other countries. Like in Brazil, like the Brazilian president didn't think, you know what I mean, it was a big deal. Then in there over there, it's crazy. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, when it was mainly like China, Italy, Spain that were bad, Iran like thought, oh yeah, like if we just praise God or whatever, Allah and stuff like that, like we're not gonna get the virus or whatever. Then they ended up being like the second highest cases at first.
yeah,
So it's it's the sad reality that like it's just a horrifying virus. And earlier
yeah,
in the pandemic, like at the beginning, I thought it was like, oh no, this is crazy, blah blah. But then for the longest time, I calmed down and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't that bad. It's just a little bit worse than the flu. But then over time, like the past few months or so, I was like, wait a minute, this is pretty bad. So,
yeah. I think like 6 months before everybody in the world was a bit chilling,
mm-hmm,
but I don't know what happened. The bomb just so
mm-hmm,
I really don't know what to expect now. Everybody's, I guess, hoping the vaccine, but here there is no vaccines really.
yeah,
Now, in the news, they said if you have money, you can buy the vaccine from other countries and shit. But the black market, you don't know what you're going to get
at
from
all.
AliExpress or some
Yeah,
shit like that. You don't
mm-hmm,
know if it's only water.
yeah,
You really, and so it's really dangerous, and I don't know if it's enough time for the science to have developed a vaccine that is effective, that is already tested enough, and but everybody's so crazy for getting it that it's like, oh, I don't care, just put it in my veins.
yeah.
But maybe. that would fuck you up. You don't know.
You have no
That's
idea.
scary.
Yeah. But at the same
That's
time, it makes me wonder maybe it's like the flu vaccine where it's not really harmful much at all. You know what I mean?
I
But we
hope so.
don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah.
There's so much we have no
That
idea about. And it
that's the
makes,
thing that
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
It makes me also wonder of like I'm going back and forth on whether or not I should get the vaccine or when. Like for the general public here in the United States, you can start getting it around April or May.
Hmm.
Before that is like certain groups that are at risk, like doctors and old people
All
or
people.
whatever. But like yeah, April or May, I would be able to get it. But I feel like I want to in order to protect myself and mainly others around me. So, like my parents, because I live with them, or other
Hmm.
relatives that I see or whatever. Um, but at the same time, like, what if, like, in the future, it causes, like, bad health problems? I have no idea. So,
See, because I heard in the internet that's the problem,
mm-hmm.
but I heard a doctor saying like there was not enough time to foresee the secondary effects of the
Mm-hmm.
vaccine.
The side effects, yeah.
So it's like everybody who is getting it, this might sound bad, but it's like there are bunny Indians, or I don't know what is the term.
Yeah,
The,
test subjects,
yeah.
like
So, but the
lab
thing
rats.
is that there are doctors and nurses. What if they die?
Oh yeah, I never
Yeah.
thought of that. Yeah,
So we're like,
imagine a disaster.
yeah, because they were the first one to get it. So maybe it's like, fuck. Now, the lady who sells food, she knows how to put a vaccine. Let's go to her. So
Yeah,
that will be disaster.
that is crazy. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I love conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to fall in that breach of reality and conspiracy theories.
yeah,
But from that, you get some idea like, oh yeah, that might happen, and then you start like, fuck, this is happening.
yeah, yeah.
Because 2 years ago, well, I mean, I love conspiracy theories since 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years ago, I heard a conspiracy theory about, the Illuminatis
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
And like everything, I just hear it like, oh, this is fun. This is like a horror movie, but in
yeah.
your head, no? You have to
Horror
imagine.
stories. It's interesting.
Uh-huh. But then it comes to a point where I hear the same conspiracy theory about the New World Order. I don't know if you have heard.
I heard a little bit about it. I
Yeah,
forget.
and it was like the power for people, like the Rothschild and all that kind of people, were
Mm-hmm.
like they are going to do one government around the world, and
Mm-hmm.
there are three ways of doing it. One is cause a health problem in the world, maybe a pandemic. It says the
Mm-hmm.
video, and I was like, oh, okay. Two,
Yeah.
a war, obviously, the World War III,
Mm-hmm.
and three, it will be the phase where there is no money in the world, there is no food, there is no resources, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to work for the 1% of the population, which is the rich ones,
Mm-hmm.
and basically rich ones and slaves, the 98% of the world. And I was like, that's too much work, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the Illuminatis. And
Yeah.
1 year after, I hear the virus in China, and I was like, this might be the one, but like in a joke, right? Like, this I was joking in my workplace, like, this is where all started, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, all right, yeah, yeah. And 6 months later, everybody's like, tell me about more. Now what we should do? And I was like, I don't know. I was just joking, but now I see the reality.
Yeah. That brings me to the idea. There's two conspiracy theories I have these are conspiracy theories, though. These aren't the main things I believe in. The main things I believe in is what I already said. But these are two possible theories I've had before. One is I don't know if you know too much about China and like what they're doing modern day, about how they're trying to expand themselves more. They're trying to take over Hong Kong. They are buddy buddies with Russia, which Russia they've been
Europe.
yeah, Russia they've been trying to take over like Ukraine and like expand themselves still again. And China, another thing too. I don't know if you know about this, but what they do in Africa. Do you know what they've been doing in Africa? But
About putting some
like
uh
infrastructure and everything like that, and
that's
like
exactly.
resources and all of that. But in return, they're able to like use their resources or this or that or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I heard
Um,
about that.
and basically, what it is there's a big difference for the world superpowers. There's a difference between China and the United States. I feel the United States, to some extent, they still have their morals and structure or whatever. China, they're gonna do whatever they can to expand, to do whatever they can to make themselves a better country and nation. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had this in a lab, this virus, and they decided to spread it across the world. And like they don't really care. They have all the structure. They have too many people, that this is like kind of like a population control for their own country. But it's a way so then they can ruin other countries economically, etc. Then after the
And then buy
pandemic,
it.
and then after the pandemic ends, yeah, they'll make profit off of the vaccine. I'm sure they're going to be spreading it to all those third world countries that like maybe the United States and others aren't going to provide it to.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that one conspiracy theory. Another conspiracy theory I had is, so I'm agnostic. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah,
But it's like unsure whether or not there is a God, blah blah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think if I look at this in a religious perspective, there's a possibility that a god or whatever, did this
Oh, wait,
purpose.
wait a second. Wait a second, please. I'm answering a call. Just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's possible there was a god that decided, I mean, like God or whatever, decided to do this pandemic because in the past, I believe God would, or there's possibility that in the past that God would use natural disasters to make population control and stuff like that. So like tsunamis, earthquakes, etc. Um, but I don't know whether or not that would be true. But for the pandemic, there's a possibility that God decided to do a neutral way of population control. So, um, so that's what, because like so I think if it's a situation where the vaccine is successful and we don't have to take one every year, blah blah blah, then I believe the world will be a lot better than it was before the pandemic, because people
okay.
will, once the pandemic ends, people will be happier. I feel there will be a lot more jobs starting to happen and everything like that. Also because of like the population lowering and then more resources, etc., etc. I think still there's gonna be a ton more people that are still gonna die, even though there's a vaccine in a lot of countries already coming and stuff like that. There's gonna be, you'll see still a ton of more people that are gonna die. But I wouldn't be surprised if it'll be like kind of like a new great beginning after the pandemic ends, if it ends. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because because through war and stuff like that, that's not a neutral way for people to die. And then there's going to be people targeting and everything like that. Then I'll keep on having conflicts or whatever. But this is like the best way to like population control. And also, everybody makes the stereotype that God is perfect and like is so moral and good or whatever. I think God is, if there is a God, God is like people. You know what I mean? Uh, if they have that kind of intelligence, you know what I mean? I don't know if they're higher intelligence or lower or whatever. So let's say if they are around our intelligence, then I believe they would be like doing good and bad things throughout time. And then if you're living for an infinite amount of years, you're not always gonna be a good being or person, you know? You might get
Yeah,
tired of
yeah.
it or want to do some sort of control, like, yeah, I'll just kill a lot of people with the virus. Or maybe there was a reason why a lot of old people are dying from it because they're like, wait a minute, like, these old people are trying to keep these older traditions that are immoral or whatever. And that applies to many different countries, like less women's rights, etc. This that. Maybe it's a way to progress morally too, and for people, the younger people, to be more responsible, and taking care of their loved ones and stuff like that. But that's just that's one other conspiracy theory, which I don't know what conspiracy theory is possible. That one or that the other one, or maybe it's just a thing where it's like sadly natural and just a crazy pandemic that went out of control. So
Do you believe that the story is being all around the world about the virus? It came from some Chinese people eating a soup with a bat.
So I wouldn't be surprised because there in China they eat a lot of obscure animals. And here's another thing too is a lot of those diseases in the past started because of just people eating animals or parts of animals they should not eat. So like even HIV that was from I think it was in Africa of someone eating a monkey or doing something with a monkey or whatever, which it's like I believe that nowadays, whether people want to admit it or not, even in the native tribe groups all around the world, they should not be eating certain animals and certain parts of animals because this is exactly what will happen. And
Yeah,
like,
it's like just like a pretty normal thing to think that whatever you eat, it will develop something in your body, whatever that is, for
mm-hmm,
good or bad. And if the humans haven't been eating bats for some reason because they are ugly or they taste bad or anything, and someone is starting to eat it, and your body isn't used
yeah,
to digest that kind of meat and everything, blah blah, maybe your body is going to get sick, and maybe your body is going to start to work in a different way, and that might alter your DNA, blah blah blah. And then if you have contact with somebody else, there is going to be some kind of chemic going on and blah blah blah, and then that person will change too. I think it's more in my mind. It's more like yeah, maybe it came from a place where you should not do something that most people don't do, and if you do it, it will change the game for everybody.
mm-hmm, definitely,
it, in my mind is that kind of logic, but the other part is like uh, I don't know. You know, Hitler was some sort of leader in the 40s, and they shake hands with the Pope. You
mm-hmm,
know, they shake hands with a lot of leaders, and in those times there was not the propaganda of Hitler is the devil or Hitler is like the worst people in the world. No, in the time was like, Hitler is another politician. We should treat him with respect. And now we see it, and we're like, no, he was a fucking monster, you know.
yep,
But and that leads me to think maybe this is a war, but a chemical war,
yeah,
and maybe China, for example, is like, okay, like you say, we need to start this shit. We have to go to the top, so we should fuck everybody else.
yep,
Maybe a bit of our people is going to die, but we can take it.
yeah,
So let's put this shit outside, and maybe I don't know, maybe all the government knows it, but don't wanna cause more panic. Maybe it get out of hand.
it's
I don't
all a
know.
part of their plan.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe if from 50 years ago we will say, "Oh, now we know the truth. They start a fucking war, and we didn't know it
And
until
here's
2
another
years
thing
later."
too, is we don't even know. Maybe there's certain governments, like let's say United States or certain other governments are that are maybe spying on China and know maybe that they did do it, but they're not going to release that information
They
because
can't.
then it can cause a war or worldwide problems and stuff like that. Or maybe they're going to mention it in the future if they did find out.
The
So,
USA can do it, but China is protected by Russia,
hmm
and I don't think it's a good idea
it
put
would be a
guns in
disaster.
Russia and the USA. That is not good
The
for
end of the
anyone.
world. The end
Yeah,
of the world. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
look at the Cold War. How many countries were destroyed, like made horrible? Like Eastern Europe, they're still poor, bad. Not mainly because of World War II, but mainly because of the Cold War.
Yeah, yeah,
And then also like those southern Asian countries like Vietnam and all those
yeah, yeah.
places. And then also South American and Central American countries. Like most of those countries are still doing pretty badly because of like United States and Russia like messing with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the only like South American or Central American country that's doing fine is Chile.
Yeah, yeah, Chile is going fine, but Argentina, for example, is fucked up.
Yeah, my mom is from Venezuela. Venezuela is horrible the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And my mom's mom is from Argentina and my mom's dad is from Chile. So yeah, like
Oh,
Argentina it goes back and forth like okay and then bad, you know what I mean? But now it's been bad again. But
yeah,
Venezuela it's been extremely bad the past 15 years.
I heard.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Mexico is like right now is like is bad, but it seems like well, I'm 30. I don't know what is your age.
I'm 25.
Now that I'm 30, I'm starting to realize that we are not good, but we are getting used to not be good.
Yeah, yeah.
We're like, we could be worse, and but I think we are chilling, but we are not good, and we look like Venezuela and Argentina, and we are like, oh man, they are suffering, and
Yeah.
but we don't look the poor people here. I mean, I am not rich, but I am not poor either.
Yeah.
But I know people that are really, really, really poor. They can have a job. They can pay a rent. They can do nothing.
Yeah.
There are sometimes that are bad here.
Mexico reminds me a lot like Brazil. There's like good, bad parts. There's like cities, there's suburbs, there's rural parts, farm areas. Also, Argentina is kind of like it, except currently Argentina is like pretty bad, but yeah. But Brazil is like also Mexico. There's certain cities that are extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. In the 2020, it was a bit more chill. I
mm-hmm,
think and there is not too many. Well, everybody thinks the current president here, Andres Manuel,
mm-hmm,
is pacting with the narco.
mm-hmm.
So he's like, you can do whatever you want and no problem, but don't kill citizens.
Yeah,
Don't make a big mess and do your thing.
yeah,
But the last president before him, he was like, no, 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 I am the president. I rule here. So I'm going to fuck the narco up. And it was a chaos, man. You cannot go in the streets without hearing pistols
no way.
and people dying. It was terrible. So the new president was like, no, no, I don't want to mess with the narcos. They can do her thing and let the people live easy. Let the people be chill.
Yeah,
So that has been a bit easier for Mexican people, but the crisis. There is no money.
Hmm.
Jobs are paying way low. It's hard. It's hard.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And now that with the pandemic, I was like, fuck, another thing.
Yeah. No, and that was the thing too, is like before the vaccine came out, the worry was, when is the vaccine gonna come? You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna be a year, two, three, four, five, 10? You know what I mean? But now that the vaccine came out, now it's like, well, the main thing people are focusing on is it gonna affect us or not, like in a negative way. But
Mhm.
I feel like I'm hoping and guessing that it's gonna be fine. But the thing I'm worried about is if it's gonna continue like the flu and but be a lot worse than the flu. You know what I mean? And have to guess each like vaccine for the year. It, if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised that 12 monkeys thing. That's what it's gonna end up like.
Yeah,
So,
it's scary, man.
because
It's
think
really
about it,
scary.
like the flu has been around for a number of years. The coronavirus has been around for, less than two
One year.
years or like 1 year. And just imagine it getting stronger and stronger over time. This is just the first year. I can't imagine how dangerous it'll get and how many people it'll easily kill. Because also think about it too, is there's a number of diseases that aren't in first world countries that are over there in like third world countries, like malaria and stuff like that. Like, if that's still in those countries, coronavirus is still gonna be probably in all those other countries. Or going back to the conspiracy theory, China is gonna make sure to, take care of those countries and giving the vaccine of the coronavirus, and then they're gonna be taking away from that country and taking over. So who
Like you
knows?
don't have any money? Oh, don't worry. I can put a gold mine there, and we are even.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. So who knows? And you know what might even be the end of the world? Not even the pandemic. It may be World War III, because if there's a war between China, Russia versus the United States, it will be the end of the world because of all the nuclear weapons, and I can't even imagine.
Well, you see, I used to think that way, but now I look at it, the way that maybe they don't need even nuclear weapons.
Hmm.
Maybe they just don't put the vaccine for a year and
Oh,
let
yep.
people die.
Yep.
Maybe this is the way that World War III is going, like
Yeah.
virus and shit.
Who knows?
Maybe this is the world.
That's the war. Yeah. That
Yeah,
is
maybe
very
this is
interesting.
the easiest way to get rid of the
Whoever
people.
whoever has the vaccine, that is the weaponry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. That sounds to me more like it, that America going in the seas to fight with ships, like in the World War II. I
Hmm.
think science has developed so much that maybe this is the way. This is the way they is going to fight. Uh, I don't know. Maybe China was already prepared for this, because
Yep.
everybody in the news says that China has all control. They are no cases anymore of coronavirus over there. They have everything under control, and we are like, damn, like they just, if the virus was born there, how can they be so calm right now?
Yeah.
And everybody's
Because
like burning their houses. Like, how can that be possible?
yeah.
But I see in other news, I see the China people were like very serious about it, and they clean everything with that thing that you put to clean the virus and everything.
Yeah.
And the government spent a lot of money in cleaning everything.
Hmm.
But mm, that, I don't know. It's like, really they are just cleaning things, and that's the cure. That's the way. We are
Yeah.
not doing it as much as they do. It's like strange.
Yeah. It's all very suspicious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if it
But
was like most other countries, it was if it was almost any other country, I'd be significantly less suspicious. But out of all the countries, China. So, but at the
and
same
China,
time, China is so giant. So much stuff can potentially happen. A lot of people there travel everywhere, and also they eat a lot of stuff like you shouldn't. So, um, at the same time, playing devil's advocate, it could be have been a natural thing, but I don't know. It's too
have you
suspicious.
seen the movie Contagion or
Yeah,
Contagious?
Contagion. I haven't seen it for a number of years though, but I remember most of it.
Well, the I see that movie when I hear in the news about November
Hmm.
of 2019. I hear about the coronavirus in China, and I told to my little sister just to scare her up. I was like, "Oh, you know what? That virus will make everybody a zombie." And
Hmm.
she was like I think 12 years old, and she was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, this is the end of the world. And she was like, nah. And I heard in a video about the conspiracy theories, the that movie particularly was like a Hollywood preparation for everybody to know what was going to happen in a few years later,
Hmm.
like reprogrammation or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's watch it. If you watch that movie again, you will see that everything that happened there is happening right now. Everything, everything, everything. Just to clear that up. The virus start with a bat,
Hmm.
and then a pig eat the bat. Then the pig has the virus, and then a chef in Hong Kong prepare the pig so the people can eat it. And then the chef has the virus in his hand. And then his chef salutes to another American woman. And that American woman now has the virus. And that American woman goes back to the States. And obviously, she can contage, I don't know, contagious and other people. And then all begins. And
Isn't
I
that
was
crazy?
like, oh come on, man! It's the same shit. A bat and China and the rest of the world is like, man, it's the same story. How can
Yeah.
that be possible?
Isn't that horrifying? That is crazy.
And in the end of the movie, I'm not trying to spoil it,
Yeah.
but in the end of the movie, they have obviously the vaccine, but like it's a pandemic world, they say only a few people can get the vaccine. How we gonna decide this? We're gonna make I don't know. They make tiny balls with the months numbers, and they were like April. Everybody who's born in April get the vaccine first. Now there is a lottery. Like now November, everybody who was born in November get the vaccine like randomly,
Wow.
and some people have to wait a whole year, the last ball to
Yeah.
get out. And it was like, fuck, this is the way that it's going to be. I was like,
Yeah.
now in reality.
That's the way it's gonna be when all the doctors die from the current vaccines. You know what I mean? So then random other people are gonna be like, you know what? Just do it by month. That's an easier way because it's too complicated to. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, this is scary, man.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's horrifying. I don't
I
even know
know.
what's gonna happen. But it very well could end up being a thing like after this year, then that's it. Then it's done. You know what I mean? But we have no idea.
That's
Could
the
get worse,
problem.
better. There's
Even the
multiple ways it can go wrong. It's crazy. Like the World War III, of one way or another. Um, the situation like the flu, but it gets worse. Or it could just get better and end up ending. It's just horrifying.
Have you heard about Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, I heard a video about him the last week, and he was like, everybody is so worried and everything. But remember this, humankind always get through. And I was like, okay, maybe a bit small of persons, but I think we are going to get through this because
Hmm.
there is no other way to do it. Or whether we die or whether we don't. That is the the main thing. We have to continue. Maybe in a different way, maybe evolution. I don't know, but we have to continue. So that's
Yeah, yeah,
this cannot be the end for humankind. It cannot.
yeah, yeah. Because also think about it this way: is like it's natural for stuff to this like this to happen, of diseases and stuff like that. Like there's tons of people throughout time who died of the Black Plague back in the day, HIV, etc. Um, and on top of it, there was one last point I was gonna make on that. What was it?
Most recent.
Oh, and then on top of it, like back in the day, all throughout time, like when it gets closer to recent time, the life expectancy is higher. Like way back in the day, hundreds of years ago, people would live only in their 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because humans have all this technology and ways to overcome it, improve their health, blah blah, people are able to live all the way up to 100.
Yeah.
So with that being said, like it is
Evolution.
definitely possible that people can overcome this, especially how much technology there is, how many people there are, how many yeah, so but who knows though how much further we can push it. We don't know if it's this is going to be a thing where we're going to have to live with it or not, or if there's going to be another pandemic. I don't know if you heard about Bill Gates. He made a video or like a TED talk or whatever 5, 10 years ago, something like that, speaking about this exact issue of
One
pandemics.
year one year before the pandemic started in China.
Yeah. Okay,
That
so
was
it was.
suspicious to me.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really
But
suspicious.
at the same time, it is suspicious, but at the same time, there's so much content out there, you know what I mean? Um, that it can make things seem like suspicious, but it may just be a coincidence. You know what I mean? There could have been some other celebrity or person, like public figure, that said or did something that people think there's a correlation to, but there isn't.
Yeah.
But at the
I,
same time, it could be suspicious. Maybe there was some connection.
it was really interesting for me because when all started, I was like still like conspiracy theories fan, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, let's see what is going on with Bill Gates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that he's through the years before this, and he was working with people in Africa with
Mm-hmm.
vaccines for malaria and all that kind of diseases. And so he was in the vaccine business way before this. So that was not suspicious. He's philanthropy, okay, he's doing good things. That's good. So he was like, oh, this can go all around the world, and he made a plan, and he went to TED Talk, and he was like, okay, I came to this. This might not happen, but if it's happening, we should be prepared. And that's what he says basically. Everybody in the world should be prepared for a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So what is suspicious to me was like 3 months later, China started with this. So it was like okay, and then in December, I think he posted on Twitter like, people is asking me what is the new move for my company. I just said vaccines, and I was like, okay. And China just started that in October, I think. So October and then November, Bill Gates says, I'm going to dedicate my company to vaccines. And I was like, okay, maybe he's humanitarian, so that's why he's doing it, right? But I don't know. I have this sense of maybe he sees that is the most prolific way of doing things. Like there is money there because everybody is going to want the vaccine. But
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he just don't do it for the money. Maybe he did. I don't know.
And
It's a
that's the
guy
thing,
who.
man. He has
Uh,
so much money, like an absurd amount of money. But at this, maybe what it is the thing like where he wants to be even more of a notable figure than he already is, and make change and utilize his money in like focusing on bettering the world that way, like a hero. You know what I mean? But at the same time, people that are so high up, like someone who like him, who's like one of the richest people in the world, like
mhm.
I think there would be a possibility that he has connections, government connections or whatever, where maybe he knows something that other people or stuff that other people do not know. So that could make it suspicious too.
It was amazing to me now that you mention it. It was amazing to me that in a couple of months back, Trump says something like the NU, the United Nations, I think is the name.
Yeah, the
Uh,
UN.
they are not taking the USA seriously. They are not giving us our place. So we are going to not give any money to them.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Gates was like, okay, it's okay. If the US government don't want to put any money here, I will cover his part. And I was like, fuck, he has that much money? More than the government? I was like, fuck, that man can do anything. So if that is the case, he's more powerful than the president of the United States of America. That blew my mind, man.
And that's the thing too, is like the more money you have, also depending country to country. But I just feel if you have one of those top positions in the world of money, you're gonna get connections, one way or another. And
Yeah.
what and everybody hopes and believes that like, oh no, that would be corrupt, that would be bad. No, that's not the case. Listen to this interesting thing. So my great aunt and great uncle, my great uncle, he's one of the richest people in Venezuela.
Okay.
And Venezuela, it's very dangerous or whatever. He decided to move to Aruba. So he was able to get a citizenship because he's just so rich and was
Yeah.
able to like converse with the president of Aruba.
Okay.
So like in Aruba, it's not like it's I don't know, an independent, fully independently run country. It's owned by the Dutch, which I feel the Netherlands, like, they're not really corrupt people. So if that can happen, because he has a lot of money, just imagine a whole nother level of Bill Gates. And he's been around for a number of years as a really rich man. It's not like he's like Jeff Bezos or someone else who's like
Yeah.
recently rich.
Elon
He's
Musk.
like, yeah, yeah. It's not like the past 5, 10 years. Like Bill Gates, he's been around for a decent amount of time and very rich and very involved in a lot of different places. So like, who knows, like what he knows, what connections he has, what else he's involved in. Maybe he's in some sort of top secret, like, you know, um,
The Illuminati.
service. Well, meaning like maybe he could be involved one way or another in like CIA or FBI or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Um, but people just don't know because like you're not gonna openly announce that you're part of that stuff. And like who knows what he's really been up to all these years, you know what I mean? So there's many
Who
different
knows?
possibilities.
He maybe might be that kind of villain in the movies, which is presented to the public in general. Like, I, I wanna help the world. I wanna bring the vaccine, and in the dark side, he's like, but I make the disease.
Hmm.
Because that was one conspiracy theory in the internet too, that he bring the disease so he can provide the vaccine. It was like, fuck, he could do that.
What if, so here's another conspiracy theory I just made. What if China and United States work together on it? Because Trump, he was he was connecting well with China and also like Russia a little bit, you know. What if there's that crazy conspiracy theory?
Yeah, yeah. It's like in the USA, it's like double E, the wrestling fighters.
Yeah, WWE.
Yeah, and they obviously they act like they were enemies, but maybe they are outside the arena in the drinking bar. They are friends, right? But their job is to entertain us, right?
Hmm.
And maybe that's the case of China and the USA. Maybe it's like I'm going to say that to you, and then you're going to say that to me. So the people think that we are enemies, but you know I love you, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and here's another interesting thing too is I don't know if you know much about who has the vaccine and like how it is and stuff like that, but the countries that have like the most vaccines and stuff, maybe it's like the allies of certain countries are doing well because of it. Look at United States, uh the UK, Israel, and Brazil, like because Trump was good friends with the president there. Uh, they're all like good friends, right? And they're happening to have a lot of vaccines now. And Israel, 30% or more of the country is vaccinated so far.
Totally.
Yeah, they're the most in the world
Hmm?
in regards to rate. And then for on the other side of like China, Russia, I'm assuming they're having a decent amount of vaccines. Also, India, they're friendly with the United States, um, and they have a lot of vaccines so far that they've been giving out. But here's another thing too: is the U.S. I'm not sure about the U.S., but I'm assuming the U.S. is providing it to other places around the world. India's providing it to other places around the world. They're going to be providing it to South Africa, multiple African countries, and then random other places. So like, who knows? But at the same time, that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
yeah.
it it could just be simply that because they're like big countries, most of them are good countries. Maybe it was a thing where they happened to get the vaccine. But at the same time, don't you find it suspicious that why is it that everyone was racing to find a vaccine, but why is it that about at the same time everyone started getting the vaccine?
I think the same way.
That's suspicious.
Who
And
was the
and
first? Russia?
I don't know. I
But
forget.
and you can tell because everybody's like, we have the vaccine. There is this option, this option, this option. And they were like, okay. They
But
talk to each other.
remember how the media would say it would take minimum 5 years on average to make a
Mhm.
vaccine? Why is it that all of these completely different countries
Mhm.
that are allies and stuff like that are getting this vaccine done?
Yeah, yeah, and I would think that all the nations were like, we are in this together. So if you know something that it can be useful, please share it with the rest of the world. So that could happen, but nobody is talking about it. Nobody says, "Oh, the Russian government finds out the cure, so now it's available for everyone." It's
Hmm.
like, no, no, the Russian has their formula and is not going to reveal it to anyone. And then China has another formula and it's working. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's
And the
not,
UK
we are
just
not in this
found
together.
two formulas. The US found three. Just all
Uh-huh.
very suspicious.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kind of thing that, well, I'm not a scientist, so maybe I'm just wrong because I don't know the protocol. But to a normal person like me, it sounds like what, you know?
Yeah. But at the same time, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's a thing like it's the flu vaccine, where if everybody's focusing on it, it's not that hard to figure out. Uh, but at the same time, maybe it's like the flu in the sense that it's going to come back every year and they're going to have to make a new vaccine every year, you know?
That would be fucked up.
So, there's so many different ways it can go, and who knows what's gonna happen. Let's just hope for the best.
And in the other side is Elon Musk is putting chimps, microchips, so they can play video games. You hear that?
No, I didn't hear that. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, last week Elon Musk put a chip into a monkey's head, so he can play video games with her mind. And I was like, what the fuck? Why isn't Elon Musk developing with her money, with his money, a vaccine, or what's going on there?
Yeah. Wow.
And
That's crazy.
he's trying to take us to Mars
Yeah.
for some reason. Maybe he knows something like this is not going to work. We should go there.
Yeah. No, that's very
It's
interesting.
strange,
Huh.
really strange.
Maybe he knows or suspects that there's gonna be, an end of resources, etc., or whatever in this world, or a potential end. That maybe it'll be better to move on over there. So now he's starting the research and starting to figure out how life can be on Mars.
Now that you mention it, I want to say this before, but I forgot
Hmm.
about the movie Contagious,
Hmm.
Contagion.
Yeah.
Um, the conspiracy theory was is pre-programmation, you know. So the war when this happened in real life, the people will already know what's the protocol, right?
Hmm.
And but that was like 15 years ago, that movie, I think.
Hmm.
But then I think was 1 year or months before the coronavirus in China started that the movie The Avengers
Hmm.
came out. And do you remember what was the plan of Thanos?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
And I was like, he tried to kill half of the population, so the half that is still alive can live good with the resources because there are too many people, right?
Right.
And the Avengers were like, no, no, that's not cool. You are not God. You should not decide that, right? And I was like, maybe somebody think the same way. Maybe a lot of governments think the same way. Like, hey, dudes, if we keep growing, we are not going to be able to to live. Maybe we should kill half of the population. What we should do?
You know what I just thought about because of that? Trump being president, and he wasn't for the climate change stuff. China's not for the climate change stuff. What's one way you can? I think if this is, it's definitely immoral to spread the vaccine, like I mean not vaccine, the virus around like that to have people die from it. But that solves a number of different problems. Like focusing on climate change uh, solves some problems and climate change. But if you do like that of lowering the population worldwide, that'll like help resolve climate change to a certain extent, world hunger, spreading of disease, violence, etc. A lot of stuff. And that's
Yeah,
suspicious that United
I
States at
came
the
to that
time
conclusion too.
and China were, you know, wow.
Yeah, I came to that
Maybe this
conclusion
was
too.
even maybe this was even planned when Trump was trying to run for office, and that's why Russia, like the what happened of Russia were trying to help with the elections. Maybe that's why that happened.
Yeah, because have you seen the movie The Great Hack?
No.
It's about it's a documentary
Mm-hmm.
about the I don't know the company
Oh, okay.
who
I think I know which one you're
who,
talking about. Uh,
who makes Donald
in
Trump the
England or
president.
something like that. I forget.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a company that basically buys information from Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
so they know the population in the USA. And this is not science fiction. This is for real. This is why Zuckerberg go to trial because the U.S. government was like, "Are you selling information to the Russian people?" And Zuckerberg was like, "Well, it wasn't illegal. You signed for it when you download Facebook." and then it became a problem. But the second part of that was, well, if why you sell information to Russia? And he was like, well, they wanna buy it for me because they wanna manipulate the elections over there. So Trump wins because Russia wants to. So and everybody and everyone was like, oh, maybe they are going to make a foundation plans for money, financial movements, and nothing happened for 4 years. And I was like, oh, and so why Russia wants Trump to win? Now this is why.
And think about this too: is when the pandemic happened towards the end of Trump's office. And on top of it, Trump was very, very, very angry that he lost this
Yeah,
recent election, which
yeah.
makes me think that maybe this wasn't part of the plan.
I think the same, man.
Because isn't that suspicious that the pandemic ended when the elections was starting and stuff like that?
Exactly, that is the main thing. Why the
That's
vaccine came out
crazy.
exactly around the time of the elections. If it was a thing about just in the USA, we can say nothing about that because just there. But everybody knows the elections in your country are the most important elections of the world.
And you know what, too? This is another interesting conspiracy theory adding on to that. Maybe Trump, the reason why he wanted to build the wall between Mexico and America wasn't because of really mainly any other reason, was because of spreading the virus.
Oh, now Trump is the
And
hero.
and you know who else has a wall and believes in walls and stuff? China. Wall of China.
Nice.
So maybe he was influenced because of that and everything. I don't know. This is all conspiracy theory,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very interesting.
But
Imagine we
it's
never
weird.
know what parts may or may not be true. Maybe in the future we're gonna find out and be like, "Wow, I can't believe I thought of that before."
Exactly, that's what I meant when I tell you about the newspaper in the 40s was like, oh yeah, and in another news, Hitler met with the Pope, and it was like a nice meeting. And in another news, and it was like, no, no, this is historical. This is the devil and the Son of God. This is
Hmm.
incredible. Maybe in 10 years ago, we'll know the. Did you know that Russia and the USA and China kill thousands of millions of people? And wow, what the fuck? And why anybody do anything? Because we don't know in the moment.
Yeah.
That
And
can be.
then maybe Trump did certain things purposely to make it seem, you already mentioned this I think a little bit earlier, but like to make it seem as if like he's not good friends with China, like the tariff thing or whatever. Like it's just, and maybe that was a thing where they knew they were going to be fine to not be reliant so much on each other, because either way they're going to do better economically, because the whole world are going to be suffering and relying on the United States, China.
Maybe this is too personal in your country. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
can I ask who you vote for?
So for this recent election, I didn't vote.
Oh,
Um, but for this recent election, if I would have to vote, then I would have picked Joe Biden.
yeah.
But the election before, I voted for third party, so Gary Johnson. But that was
Mm.
because I wanted Bernie Sanders to win.
Mm.
But Hillary ended up getting there
The
versus Trump
position.
when she shouldn't have. Um, so I was just angry about that.
So you are not a Trump supporter,
No.
because
Uh,
I think in your country is kind of a stigma said they are Trump supporters,
yeah. Like
or is
a
it
lot of,
normal there?
like here it's about half of the country voted for Trump for both elections, about half. Um, but there's all different kinds of people throughout the country. Um, it's very very diverse, and state by state, town by town, like one state can be very different from another, or one town can be very different from another. Um, so
You
yeah.
know, I see so many movies about your country, and shows and music, and I think I know more about your culture, your popular culture, than about mine. Cause
Yeah.
I love music, I love movies, I love everything, and I put my money, and this is for real. I put my money in my office, saying that Trump was going to win against Biden, and I
Yeah,
was like,
I thought he was gonna
everybody,
win.
yeah, I was like, everybody is going to vote for Trump. Believe me, and I make a bet. And when Biden wins, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I think Trump was going to win.
Yeah, he just barely didn't win.
Yeah,
And he barely won versus Hillary.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But that happens with a lot of elections, though. It's like
yeah.
very close to 50-50.
Because maybe your system over there is maybe like legit, right? Because here the elections are really not that legit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh, this is very corrupt.
here it's not corrupt. For the most part, Like the way Hillary got to where she was a little corrupt.
Yeah.
Like it probably should have been like Bernie or someone else versus
Yeah.
Trump, and same with Joe Biden. Like it probably was supposed to be someone else versus Trump. But when it gets to the presidential election of like one versus the other, then it's not like it's legit. There's no corruption.
And correct me if I am wrong, but you guys see your parties like Democrats and what is the other thing?
Republican
Republicans.
and Democrat.
Which one are the left and which one are the right?
So the left is Democrat, the right is Republican. So the
Trump is Republican.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But Hillary, he was not left, right?
She's left, yeah.
She's left, and Bill Clinton was left in his time.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys constantly change from right to left on presidents.
It depends, but yeah, that's usually what happened to happen. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting because here in Mexico, this I think is the first president of the left in like a century or something like that.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's always right, but like he was in the right years before and just changed to the left so it can compete. So basically, here in Mexico is so corrupt that you can change from left to right, just depends where the money is. I don't know if
Yeah.
over there is the same.
It's interesting. So Hillary back in the day used to be Republican, and Trump back in the day used to be a Democrat.
Nice.
Isn't that
So
interesting?
basically the same.
Yeah. Except it was like that was a number of years ago when they were the opposite like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the common sense is that there are politicians and they are going to do whatever it takes to win,
Yeah.
even if they don't care if the people think they are right or they are left. They just want to win. I think.
Yeah.
I
That
don't know
just
if.
you know what that just reminded me of? So Trump, he was debating, I think it was the election of Obama, like
Mhm.
that he was debating whether or not to run at that time. He was about to, but then he decided not to. And then he ended up deciding to run like, the past election or a couple
Mhm.
elections ago. But he was never in politics before,
No.
He's just a rich man. But that makes me wonder. Bill Gates, he's a rich man, like they can do sketchy stuff, interesting stuff, you know? Maybe this was all ways he can, profit from it or something.
Yeah, I think rich people work
Various
in ways
ways.
that we don't understand.
Yeah. But I
Politics
never
and all that. Thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
it's interesting.
Yeah, and believe me, in Mexico at least, Joe Biden wasn't a very popular election because we don't even know who he was or he. He was, I think, he used to work in politicians like years and years and years, right?
So he was the vice president of Obama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of reasons why people like him and don't like him.
For example.
Uh, so for example, I'll send you a video.
Hmm?
I don't know if you heard any of the weird stuff of Joe Biden, like
Conspiracy theories?
being weird to women and stuff. Do you know about that?
Oh yeah, I have seen videos
Oh, okay, you
of
saw
him
the
kissing
videos.
little girls, which in a weird way, and I was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, and it's ridiculous. But
But again, this is it's an old guy, and maybe it just looks creepy because he's old, or
yeah,
maybe
because a lot of old people do weird stuff like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
plus
at the
the
same,
media, plus the video, plus these times where everything can get out of context. Maybe I don't know.
but at the same time, like they used to. Wait 1 second.
Because Trump either was a very gentle guy with the ladies.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's how it is though. There's lots of good and bad politicians and
I mean, they're human. They have their dark side. I mean, that's obviously. But did you hear about Hillary and the Pizzagate thing?
the what?
Pizzagate
I don't know that.
conspiracy theory about the Hillary is one of the people who has money and develop system for pedophilia in the USA.
Oh, I heard about that, but I
Yeah,
don't believe that one.
yeah, it's kind of out there, right? Some
Yeah.
our accusations there is going way out there.
Yeah, I know about that one. I think it's the one. Is it like the QAnon thing?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so like that. I don't know if you heard about the riots at the White House or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody
Yeah,
hears about it.
yeah, yeah. So like after that, those conspiracy theorists, they thought Trump was going to like reveal that Biden and certain others like were running that pedophilia ring, blah blah. But because it didn't happen, a lot of those conspiracy theorists were very upset and like were like, how is this happening? Like, how did this not happen? You know what I mean? And they realized, a lot of them realized it's not true after that. Um, but there's still some conspiracy theorists that of that group that tried to continue that conspiracy theory, but like changed it up or whatever to modify it to make it seem like, oh wait, it's there's still something about it that's true. It's just gonna actually happen this way. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah,
kind of like a similar idea as like the world is gonna end in like year
yeah.
2000 or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
there's a
2012.
possibility. You know what I mean? But there's no evidence. You know, so.
Yeah, yeah. There are stranger times with the
Yeah,
coronavirus. At least.
yeah, yeah.
Of all the conspiracy theories, I didn't think that the coronavirus was the real one that is going to happen.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
I
more
just had no
likely
idea how to react to it.
I was more likely to think, oh, maybe the aliens are coming now in this year. I was more
Yep,
excited about that.
yep. Like Area 51.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
And
apparently not.
everybody says that Trump will be revealing information about ovnis, UFOs,
Oh, UFOs. They
and
did.
nothing happened.
Yeah, yeah. They did release. I didn't look at it yet, but they released files about it. Um,
Yeah.
in recent years, which is interesting because it's been like enclosed, like secret for the past like I don't know 30 years or more. But
You think there are really aliens out there?
um, I forget what planet. There's a planet. I don't know if it's the moon or one of the other planets that have water in it, like on ocean or whatever. Um, I think that is the only place that may have life in it. But when it comes to actual like anything other than that, I don't think so. So
You
to
think
answer
that
your
we are alone in the world, in the universe?
um I think it's possible there's other kinds of life out there, but I don't think they're intelligent beings in the way of like us where we would be able to navigate into space and go to other places and move around like that. I think they're like probably stationed like on certain planets or things, and are only gonna stay there unless we like bring them elsewhere.
But you are aware there are too many videos through the years, not even in the internet, UFOs.
That what? I couldn't hear that.
Wait a second, please.
Yeah.
I fix it.
Yeah. So I'm from Massachusetts. So like I'm 15 minutes west of Boston.
Nice,
So I'm like one state over from New York.
nice, close.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice. I love this state.
Do you like New York?
New York, it's nice to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. It's
Too
just
much, too
too
many
much.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you live is kind of chill.
We're for for Massachusetts, it's a lot like New York, except I feel Massachusetts it's a little less city like, just a
Hmm.
little bit. And it also depends town by town. Like
Hmm.
Boston is very city like. I live a couple towns west of Boston. It's like a suburb.
Hmm.
There's like suburbs where you have more stuff you can do. There's suburbs that you don't have as much stuff you can do. Then like the more west you go in Massachusetts, the less people there are, and like the
Hmm.
more farms or there are, or like not as much stuff to do. So it depends, but it's nice. I love it here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where I live in the second biggest city in Mexico.
Yeah, I remember you said. Have you were you born and raised there, or were you like?
Yes, born and raised here, and I don't travel that much,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because of money, of course. But I I am not a travel guy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel comfortable like in the buses 8 hours, and I am scared to fly and that kind of thing. But I love this city, man. I love it because there are just too many people. Obviously, before the pandemic, but there are too many things to do. Plus,
Yeah.
here my city is known for very fluid culture ways. Like this is the New York in Mexico.
That's
This
awesome.
is the main city, the city where all the fun is and shit.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
not that and it's not so dangerous in comparison to other cities. So here
yeah.
is safe. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of nice things.
That's awesome. It's very
Yeah,
nice, like, and it's very interesting seeing the difference between, let's say, if I were to live in Boston, or let's say New York City, one of those or whatever. There's so much stuff you can do. So much. I'm assuming it's the same over there.
yeah.
Versus
I think.
like if you ever want to try something new or go to a new place or whatever, you can just go to a new restaurant one street over, literally. So
Exactly.
it's very
That's the same
luxurious.
here. Here in Guadalajara is the same because you know a new person and in a bar or something, and you start chatting and everything, and he's like, "You want to go to that place in that street?" And you were like, I don't know there was a place over there. Oh yeah, it's cool. You will love it. And you go there, and it's a completely different thing there where you were. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, I'm going to show you a new place, and you go few streets down and in downstairs, and it's hiding, and oh, this is cool. So there's a lot of that in the
It's
city.
awesome that way because there's a number of towns in Massachusetts that like the more west you go, there's only like like in certain towns, there's only a few restaurants in that whole town. Like
Oh,
one to three or something like that. That's like not much to do in those towns versus like in my city, there's a decent amount of stuff you can do. Decent amount of restaurants, places to go. But then in Boston and like big cities like that, it's like a whole nother level. So many activities you can do, so much sightseeing, so many people.
I heard
It's
that New York is like a lot of cultures in one place, right? Something like that.
yeah, that's what happens with a lot of the cities in United States. A lot of different kinds of people.
Yeah. Did you heard about the Strokes, the rock band?
The
You know
what?
the Strokes, rock
The
band
Strokes?
music.
I don't know the Strokes.
They are from New York,
Mm,
and I am a big fan. So they talk about that. The in New York there are too many cultures, and you can go from one restaurant which is close to another one, and they are completely different in the same street.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
will love to see that.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's also even in my city. Like
Yeah.
there's an Indian restaurant, then next to that is a Guatemalan one, then a Mexican, then an American, then there's like a African. I forget what country that one is. But it's like completely different, and then there's like a Thai food, then a
No.
Japanese food place. It's just completely different ones, literally just on one street. That's a
And
street away from me. It's walking distance.
and over there they stick together to the real. I don't know how you say it. I'm gonna put you in context. Here
Yeah.
in Mexico, we have obviously Chinese food and American food and obviously Mexican food in the same street, right? Just for example.
Yeah.
But we as Mexicans, obviously, who work in those kind of restaurants, we make uh, our own version of the restaurants. I'm gonna give you an example. You go to a Chinese restaurant, and obviously they don't serve tortillas for their food, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many Mexicans that go to your Chinese place and ask for tortillas. Then now the Chinese restaurant has to buy some tortillas for their
Yeah.
customers.
Interesting.
So you go to an Italian restaurant, which the owner is a real Italian, but his employees are Mexican, and obviously his customers are Mexicans. And you ask for spaghetti, but you want frijoles, beans, with the spaghetti. And obviously they are not mixed together. But as the customer asks for it, you have, as a owner, you have to provide what the customer wants. So
Interesting.
they are not sticking together to the
Real.
original recipe. For example,
Yeah.
we make our version of the foods. The only thing that know I know that is not too Mexican way here is the Burger King, McDonald's. They stick together to the American way, but
Yeah.
I don't know about that in your country, but here the Burger King, McDonald's, Carl Juniors, in Mexico they have little sauces that only ask for Mexican ask for it. Like you ask for a Big Mac, and you said you have chile
Oh,
sauce,
interesting. Yeah.
and here they give you salsa, sauce, and says Mexican sauce, and it's like I don't think in America they have this, or do you?
Yeah, they no, we don't.
So and so and
Here we use like ketchup,
yeah,
mayonnaise, mustard, stuff like that.
yeah. And now you know in Mexico we make everything Mexican, even the McDonald's and the Burger King.
Interesting. Yeah, like for here, when it comes to answer your question, like Chinese, Japanese restaurants, Mexican restaurants, or whatever,
Hmm.
they for either all the food or almost all the food, they have it of those places, not American style. But there are some that do have one or more foods that are American style. So like there's a Mexican restaurant called Margaritas that they have all Mexican food, um, but they also have like burgers and fries as
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
option, but they don't have any other American food options. But also, here's another thing though that they do is here in the United States is for certain Asian restaurants. So let's say if it's a if it's a Japanese place, um, I'd say probably a quarter of those places also have Chinese food or also have Thai food along with it. And then that's
Mhm.
also the same with some Mexican restaurants also have like certain other Spanish speaking countries food there
Mhm.
or vice
Mhm.
versa. So basically they group like similar countries like foods or whatever sometimes at certain restaurants. Um, but when it comes to American food, as I said before, it's like at most they would have like one or two foods
Yeah, yeah.
at those places that are American.
Yes, because you can go with a group of friends, and maybe they just one don't want to try Indian food, and he asks, "You have any burgers?" And maybe the restaurant is like, "Yeah, we have one burger. You can eat
Yeah,
that."
but it depends. Like for Indian food, they wouldn't usually adjust to that. Like the only ones that adjust to that is like of having like that one thing or whatever would be like Mexican places sometimes or Spanish speaking places or sometimes like Chinese food or Japanese food places. Like they may have like chicken wings that are like American style, or
Yeah.
they would have like French fries or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you see, you mentioned Mexican restaurants. We as Mexicans eat a lot of food. There are American food, hamburgers and hot dogs and steaks
Okay.
and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
now we don't even see it right now, like, well, Italian food, pizza, lasagna, all that kind of food. We don't even see it anymore like American or Italian food. We see it
Yeah.
as food,
Mexican.
just food.
Yeah. Food.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Because
funny.
but there's way too much difference between your hot dogs and our hot dogs.
Hmm.
Because we put, I think that in your country a hot dog is just the sausage, right?
Hmm.
Without the bread, maybe.
Oh no, we have it with bread, like
See, because
bread.
I see some movies where you ask in a baseball contest for a hot dog
Yeah.
and they just give you the sausage.
No, they have it in the bun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Ah
So,
well,
but there's a difference between hot dogs and sausages. So, like sausage, people would have like not in a bun, versus like a hot dog they would have in a bun, and they would
oh,
add like ketchup on it
yeah,
and
but you can
mustard.
buy a sausage in a baseball game, for example, right?
Yeah, that's a hot dog, but
Okay,
they don't. Yeah, yeah.
but here in Mexico, we I don't know. My mom makes hot dogs, and
Yeah.
she put it tomato, sliced tomato,
Hmm.
and onion, and pepper, and all kinds of stuff. And I know that I think then in the USA they just put some mayonnaise and ketchup and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And over here we put it cheese, all kinds of cheeses, and there is a
On
place.
the hot dog?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a place where you can go and you can they sell you a hot dog like in I don't know like $3,
Mm,
which is expensive for a hot dog, right?
mm,
But you can put on the hot dog a lot of things. That's why it's expensive because you can make a plate which is this big. You can put it cheese, a lot of things.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's and that's being not a hot dog, just a mix of things, but you are paying for it, so you can put as many things that you want in your hot dog.
Hmm.
And I don't think there's something like that over there. See?
Uh, no, not exactly. There are people that do put some more stuff on the hot dog, but not that much. And for burgers, though, there's people that put a lot of stuff in it, like lettuce, tomato, bacon, etc.
Yeah,
But hot dogs, usually, typically, people only put like sauces on it, so like ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise.
yeah. You see that kind of formula for hot dogs here are just for children. You know, like children don't
Yeah.
want to eat too much; they just want to eat and go play. But
Yeah.
we adults are like, what else you have in the fridge so we can put it in the hot dog?
Yeah.